All right, so we're waiting on Ina. Ina is going to, oh, right there. Welcome, welcome, sis. How are you?
I'm good. I can't start my video though. Can
Okay,
you hear me?
that might be a me thing. So yeah, we had the same issue yesterday, but I changed it, but I guess it wanted to revert back today. So I'm going to
No worries.
post, okay, temporarily while I change that on the background. You'll be able to start your video, but make sure I'm gonna make sure I reclaim a host spot because if you log off and the whole thing will end. So hey sis, looking beautiful.
Peace.
Peace and
We got
blessings.
the curls going. I'm grateful.
Had the same idea, yes. And let me give Ina a proper introduction because when I tell you, when I first saw Ina on social media, I said she is my spirit animal. Like she is living life the way I want to live life unapologetically in her divine feminine. If y'all are not following Ina, I'm not sure if you dropped your links, but we'll find them. It's okay, sis. We'll find them and drop them. But if y'all are not following Miss Ina Maka, she's out here doing some amazing work when it comes to nature, when it comes to retreats, when it comes to ancestral plant medicine, and reconnecting us all back to the earth. Okay, I had a pleasure of going to Ina's retreat in Mexico, and for somebody who does retreats, I had an amazing time. Amazing time. And I told Ina that I was like, this was great. Great. So if y'all are looking for another retreat, the Divine Feminine Frequency Retreat will be back next year, right? It's coming back next year, y'all. We made cacao. We had some sacral chakra things going on. We did some dancing. We embodied our divine feminine and some sensual dancing classes. There was some sensual, orgasm play classes. There was all things embodying your divine feminine. And I had a time reconnecting back to myself. And so, hola, hello. Thank you, sis, for your offerings. And we're excited to listen to what you have today. So go ahead and take the stage.
I'm grateful, super grateful, Abril. You know, you are my soul sister forever. Thank you for coming. Thank you for getting out of your box because I know you are a facilitator and you are so many other things and a hostess as well. So for you to come and share a space and rest and surrender and just be a sister with us was so transformative. Like we really appreciated that. Me and all the other sisters that put together the retreat. So it's definitely thankful, grateful, lots of love, lots of gratitude. If you could pull up the slides for me, Abril.
Okay.
I'm gonna share, but
No
my
worries.
tech.
I will pull them up.
And while you're doing that, I can just flow right into it. I would love for us to start, especially this early in the rising, with a collective, just breathwork practice. I think it's really important for my own personal practice as a medicine woman and meditation practitioner to combine those two worlds. So I will ask everybody here to just take a moment to center themselves, to ground themselves. If you are in a space where you can, if you are in the bed, like some of us maybe, you can lay back and just take a moment to really just surrender and just.
Ina, I think we lost you, love. All right.
Uh-oh.
You're back.
Can you
All right.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We were just about to get into it. I felt it coming.
Oh my goodness. Look. Okay, I'm just make sure everybody can hear me. We good?
Yes, I'm good over
Okay.
here.
All right. So I was just asking everybody to do a quick check-in with your body and just sit or lay, or if you're standing, just stand. If you're in the car, you might want to pull over just to take a moment to do a quick check-in with your body. And breathe some light into your body. And in this moment, we're going to do a breath that is really great for those that may have anxiety, that may have a hard time staying in the present moment, We're going to do a 4-7-8 breath. And what that means simply is we're going to inhale for 4 seconds through our nose, hold at the top for 7 seconds, and then we're going to push out through our mouths for 8 seconds, or as long as you possibly can. So let's begin collectively. Inhaling for 4 seconds through our nose, holding at the top for 7 seconds, and then pushing out with our mouths for 8 seconds collectively. And back to the inhale for 4, holding for 7, and pushing out collectively through our mouths for 8 seconds. Inhaling for 4, holding at the top for 7, and pushing out for 8 seconds. Now take a deep inhale, filling your lungs up. You may have noticed while we were doing that, your body wanted to bring more air into your lungs. It might have been hard to push out. It might have been hard to stay focused on pushing out, but that's okay. In this moment, return to your natural breath, allowing the breath to fill your lungs, fill your abdomen area, breathing naturally, sending gratitude to your breath, sending gratitude to your body, sending gratitude to this new day, all this new knowledge, all these connections. And of course, sending gratitude to the spirit that holds space within this vessel. Ashe. You can bring yourself back slowly. If you closed your eyes, you can open your eyes slowly. Allow your breath to return back to the norm. If that was your first moment of just mindfulness for the day, give yourself a congratulations smile. I know sometimes we rush into our day, sometimes we forget to breathe, sometimes we forget how important our bodies are. And in this moment, it's very important, especially with this topic, to honor the body and the spirit that lies within. So thank you, Abril. I see the slide. Is there a way we can, I don't know if we can zoom in, but if y'all can see it and everybody's good, we can just flow. So my name is Maka, and my topic today is psychedelic plant medicine. And so within this topic is so near and dear to my heart because plant medicine has allowed me to be the spirit animal that my sister was just speaking of. It has allowed me to liberate myself mentally, physically, and spiritually, and financially. And it has allowed me to tap into deeper realms of spirituality, deeper ancestral connection, and liberate who I am and really just walk in my awakened self. So within that, before we even get started, if we can go to the next slide, I want to make sure before we jump right into the conversation that you guys know some of the terms that I'm speaking about when we talk about psychedelics or plant medicine. Okay, because a lot of times it can get misconstrued. A lot of people put certain labels on this medicine, and it has been kind of categorized as a drug due to the government wanting to kind of keep this medicine out of indigenous and melanated hands. So in this moment, in this time, when I'm referring to psychedelics, I'm speaking about hallucinogenics, of course, and they are a class of psychoactive substances that produce changes in perception, mood, and cognitive processes, okay? Psychedelics and entheogens are kind of interchangeable words. So you may hear people say psychedelics or plant medicine or entheogens. They're somewhat different kinds of, when we're speaking of entheogens, we're speaking of psychoactive substances that induce the same thing, the different perception, the mood, behavior, and we're speaking of more a spiritual development aspect. So the entheogenic aspect or the word within that definition looks at the spiritual and sacred context. And I think that this word was utilized more so for those that want to distinguish between those that utilize psychedelics as recreational and those that use it in sacrament. So within that, the last term we're going to talk about really quickly is plant medicine. And like I said, plant medicine, psychedelics, entheogens are kind of interchangeable, but I want you guys to have the full terminology so you can understand as we're going through this exactly what these terms mean. I'm not going to read that full definition, but as you can see, it's similar to the ones we spoke about. And in this definition, it also includes different plant medicines such as ayahuasca, bufo, which is another favorite of mine, combo is another one, all these goodies. A woman, a mother, a divine feminine, a reclaimer of ancient wisdom, a flame keeper, a circle holder, an energy keeper, a meditation practitioner, a rhythm keeper, a goddess, and a goddess worshiper. And within that, like I was saying before, a lot of these things and a lot of these roles that I have tapped into and are working with now have really only been granted access by the use of this plant medicine and flowing effortlessly back into my original state, my most awakened state, into my higher self. So let's go. So this next slide that we have right here is going to just give us some beautiful imagery of plant medicine, specifically mushrooms in ancient culture. And we'll just stay here for a while so you guys can just look at this imagery. And I'm gonna take my video off because I wanna make sure you guys hear all of this. And within that, before we even get into the imagery, into the goodness of psychedelics and all the magic they have, I want to really, really, once again, give gratitude for being able to speak here, because honestly, this topic has been left out of the plant medicine conversation or the herbal medicine conversation for far too long, far too long. And unlike many of the beautiful and knowledgeable and powerful speakers that are here, this topic of study is often seen as taboo because there's a clear separation amongst these worlds, right? And so my mission here is to introduce those that may not understand the importance of psychoactive medicines to the spiritual and cultural impact. Plant medicine has held a role for thousands of years in our spiritual and cultural development. And I think it's about time for us to include plant medicine, psychedelics, and entheogens in our conversation when we're speaking about healing. So today we'll talk about psychedelic plant medicine, its usage globally for thousands of years as a connector to source. We'll also highlight, of course, my sacrament of choice, which is the psilocybin mushrooms, which is all over this page right here, and the power of the mycelium network and the infinite possibilities that lie within utilizing psychedelics to encourage compassion, community, who were interested, screenshot those or took notes on those. And since we're looking at these beautiful images, let's talk about the brief history of psychedelic plant medicine. So plant medicine has been used by man since the beginning of time. That's something we cannot argue about. It's clear as day. And the uses of these sacred plants have played an undeniable role in the development of human culture and spirituality. The ancient usage of cannabis in Indian medical writings compiled before 1000 BC, to the religious utilization of Syrian ruined Asia, to the myths created about witches flying because of the utilization of henbane in the Middle Ages, to iboga, which is utilized in Gabon in the Congo as a tool to remind its natives of the power of God and ancestors, and even was used to stop the spread of invasive religions. There's so many ancient ways and so many traditional ways that this medicine or these medicines have been used, and psychedelic medicines have been utilized and found on every continent. These medicines are often acclaimed to be responsible for early man's concept of God and deities, because these medicines allow us to be carried beyond our physical plane and physical body and to, of course, the spiritual plane. These psychedelics have different effects and different cultural purposes, but overall, we understand that these psychedelics are a bridge between worlds. And because Indigenous and Aboriginal people attribute sickness and wellness to the spiritual well-being of a person, the physical body and the spiritual body are not seen as separate for us. They are equal parts of the whole. Therefore, plant medicine, with its capacity to transport one to the spiritual realm, was and still is used as a tool to heal physical ailments on the energetic level, especially when alternative healing methods offered no prevail. Okay? So, for instance, if you were having some type of physical ailment, you went to your medicine man or woman within your tribe or community. If the herbal medicines that you were given were not working, or if the regimen you were given was not working, they may tell you that you may need to do a ceremony utilizing a different type of medicine, which might be a plant medicine, depending on your culture, for them to look deeper into your being on a spiritual level to see what's exactly happening. A lot of the times, things that are going on with our physical bodies are greatly linked. Understanding and understanding that knowledge, we have to understand that it's super important to know what's going on spiritually for our physical bodies to flourish. So these medicines were used in community rituals, births, rites of passage. They were used and still are used as a way to divine with ancestors, deities. They were even used to settle disputes, foresee the future, and remove energetic blockages such as curses or spells. That's how important these medicines are and were to our cultures. Okay? Similar to herbs, there are many types of plant medicines, and to cover them all would require this whole conference to be about plant medicine. So today we're just going to focus on one type, and we already spoke about that a little bit, and you can see that all over the screen. We're going to speak about psilocybin or magic mushrooms. So as we can see, we have some mushrooms in ancient times in Kemet. We have mushrooms in the Mayan culture. We have mushrooms in Aztec culture. We have some mushroom cave paintings. This is one of my favorite. If you look to the left, it's a mushroom bee man. And if you can look all the way to the left, where this man looks like he has like a bee mask on, in his hand, it looks like he's holding magic mushrooms. So these are some of my favorite ancient images of mushrooms. I want to make sure everybody can hear me once again. I'm reading the comments. I saw that someone said my voice went out. I want to make sure that I'm being clear. All right. Thank you, Wanda. Yummy. So within that, let's talk about the how. So how does ceremony work, or what is ceremony? I know that's a question that a lot of us ponder about. And even as a ceremony holder, at times, I can't even explain to people how ceremony really works, honestly, within the scientific looking at how these things work, right? We always think about what these different psychedelics do to the brain and the receptors of the brain, right? So within that, we honor that mushrooms or psilocybin allow your serotonin levels to peak. And so serotonin is responsible for that blissful feeling, that joyful feeling. And so scientists are associating psilocybin and the use of psilocybin with that feeling and being able to tap deeper into that feeling, which may be blocked by a lot of us because of trauma. And within that, I do honor the scientific aspect. I do see that that's very important. And I think it's bigger than that, though. I think it's much bigger than that. And I think that the effects and impact of this medicine is something that you really can't explain scientifically. So the how. So ceremony for me is something that is our birthright. And as Indigenous and melanated people, it's something that has been stripped away from us. Ceremony to me is a gathering of like bodies and minds and souls, and a time for us to all understand and for all of us to tap into each other, right? Ceremony to me looks like and feels like expression. So something that occurs before ceremony is intake. I like to get to know each person before they come, what they're working through, if they're working with any other people, if they've worked with medicine before, right? I like to honor their religious or spiritual background, and that's always a question. And so when we show up in ceremony, we all show up in a space of cleanness. We prepare ourselves by either fasting or eating plant-based prior. We don't have sex prior. And we really come to explore and expand our consciousness and also tap into the ancestral or spiritual realm. We can go on to the next one, April. Thank you. And within that, the tutelage that I'm trained under and the way I utilize ceremony is something that's super ancient. And really the purpose of it is to balance the whole being, to bring balance back to the whole being. So to see the body as a vessel for the spirit and not to see them as separate. I think oftentimes we work on our spiritual practice and forget that our body holds this spirit and our body needs to be nourished and taken care of as well. So just as important as your breath work is, or just as important as your yoga might be, it's important for you to nourish your body properly. It's important for you to tap into your body properly. It's important for you to analyze and conceptualize your bodies properly so that you can know and honor what your body is telling your spirit, because that's exactly what your body is. It's a receptor, and let your spirit know this is going on. And even the same thing with your body being that for the spirit. and so. So our spirits and our bodies are super important for them to be balanced within the whole. And while we're here, let's talk about the freedom that mushroom gives our bodies, right? So while we're talking about mushrooms, I didn't even ask you guys, I'm so sorry. Can we just in the chat, who here has taken psychedelic mushrooms? Who here has experienced psychedelic mushrooms before? Okay, I see a lot of I have mushroom shopping. Okay, yeah. Great. So you guys that have, right? You know that it allows your body a sense of freedom. Like the psilocybin really allows your body to kind of melt. It has this melting sensation. And within that melt sensation, you allow your soul to soar and travel. And if you know how to astral travel, that's something you may do. Or even if you don't know how to astral travel, your body might just be curious to explore the inner thoughts of yourself in your life, right? So it gives this beautiful connection, yet disconnection. It provides so much clarity. It provides a shift in perception. It provides a shift of awareness. It's such a deep connective feeling. A lot of users report seeing colors or symbols. Some people even say that they can hear sight or they can taste. They can taste what they see. All these different things are something that might occur when you're doing psilocybin mushrooms. We can go to the next one. So the why. Why would you do this? What would make you do this, right? And even bigger than that, what exactly do they do, right? What do they do? And we talked a little bit about the scientific aspect about the receptors and our serotonin levels being peaked. But let's talk about the spiritual aspect, because that's what this whole conversation is about. This whole conversation is about the spiritual connection, right? So within that, the why, remembrance. And remembrance is my number one selling point to anything, to anything, for every single person, for every single body. Within each and every one of our bodies, there holds records. Some people refer to this as the Akashic records. Some people refer to this as your past lives. Some people honor the fact that your DNA stores every one of your ancestors' DNA, especially women, because our mother's wombs and our grandmother's wombs and our great grandmother's wombs have birthed us, right? And have held the eggs that have birthed each woman or each man within the next generation, right? So we have to honor that. The remembrance aspect is so important because oftentimes when we're working through our spiritual elevation, there's a lot of blockages that occur that are not our blockages. There's trauma that occurs that is not our trauma. There occurs that is not our karma. But if we can remember who we were, what we've gone through, what we've overcame, and we can remember our divinity, our power, and the reason we were reincarnated or born into this body, we can walk in our purpose more fearlessly. So remembrance will always be my number one why. If you want to remember exactly how divine, exactly how beautiful, exactly how powerful you are, this is a great medicine. Another thing that this medicine can do is releasing isolating and fearful thoughts. So if you feel like you're alone on this planet, a lot of us feel alone even though we're surrounded by billions of other people. A lot of us feel alone because we're black sheep in our family, because we're different. A lot of us feel alone because we don't have a spiritual family, right? This medicine can help us with that connection aspect and honoring and understanding that even if we don't agree with someone, we still have a divine connection to them. And even deeper than that, we have a divine connection to the universe. We are just tiny little spores or tiny little seeds in this big universal plot of land. And we all have our part and we all have our purpose. But bigger than that, we all play a part and a purpose to the one, to the Om, to the omni-powerful and potent. And so within that, this medicine can remind you of the divine connections and the collective energy of the universe. Presence. If you have a problem, which I had a problem, y'all, I am usually not this cool as a cucumber. Like this has happened in the last like 4 to 5 years. I was a person that suffered from social anxiety. I was a person that suffered from depression. And then after I had my children, I suffered from postpartum depression and the anxiety came back. And so this healing journey that I've been going on and been in and walking in has been something that has been really propelled by the use of this medicine, because now I understand that anxiety is the lack of presence. If you're anxious, you're in the future. If you're depressed, you're in the past. So for those of us that have some type of anxiety or depression, the reason this medicine can help with that, or the reason that these entheogens can assist with that, is because it can help you focus on the present and be in the moment and live life each and every moment, right? Just be present. Another thing it does is boost mood and an energetic flow, which always helps. And of course, it helps with creativity. Psilocybin for sure is one of those things that helps reawaken new forms of expression. So I started to sing more. I started to write more. I started to dance more. I started to paint more. A lot of us tap out of that inner child healing that is creativity. And I think it's super important for us to honor that we are God's creation and we are also creative beings because we have inner gods and goddesses within us. It is our role to create. We are put here to create. So you have to create something, whether it be children or businesses, whether you're a farmer or a pharmaceutical person, whoever you are, you have to tap into your creative energy to express, because that's a way of releasing. And another thing it does is, once again, helps you reclaim the God or goddess within. I think that we often forget our power. And although people say that psilocybin is an ego killer, and a lot of us have had ego deaths when it comes to this medicine, I really claim that this medicine kind of boosts your self-esteem and your confidence, honestly. Like, really does. Although it's a good balance. It's like times you don't have it together, but oh, you're so great. It's a beautiful balance, right? It gives you a lot of like grace, but at the same time reminds you of how at times you can't be graceful. Also, look at your capacity for compassion, right? So it's that dual aspect of it. So I've been thinking about the ego death aspect, and I think it really just gives you an ego reminder, because the ego plays a role too. The ego helps us have that protection layer, right? But at the same time, it's really important for us to honor the fact that we have a lot of growth that needs to be done. We have a lot of things that we have to work on, but also we're super powerful and we're doing the work, right? Because it seems like most of us are doing that work. So I see a lot of you asking questions about growing the mushrooms or how do you source the mushrooms? And I want to just make sure I honor your questions and say that I see them, and I'll get to that in a minute. I do want to speak about this really quick though, because I know my time is lapsing. I want to speak about outside of ceremony, right? So although a lot of us may have been introduced to this medicine through recreational usage, right? A lot of us may have just done it just to do it, right? And then we may have later on done a ceremony. In this time, in this energy, a lot of us can't go to ceremonies often. Like, we're not living in communities that offer ceremonies often. A lot of us are far apart from communities that offer ceremonies. So another way to utilize this medicine is microdosing. And it's something that I suggest for anyone that is in a space where they feel like they want to be introduced to the medicine, but don't really know where to start. And so microdosing psilocybin or microdosing any type of psychedelic looks like and feels like just taking a small amount of that substance, and it just infuses a little bit of the divineness within. It doesn't give you the psychoactive aspect, so you're not having that reception or perception shift, but you are starting to bring more awareness to your life, more feeling of ease, and more happiness in surrendering deeply into it. Okay. And so within that, microdosing is a powerful way for us to incorporate the medicine into the then and now, because most of us are working jobs or balancing children or balancing the household or doing all these different things that may take us away from tending to our spirit. But it is our job and our role as Indigenous and melanated people to constantly tend to our spirit, to honor that we are spiritual beings, and to do the work we need to tap deeper in to ourselves. And so yes, April, I'm gonna send my links. I did put them in my little document, but I don't think I dropped them over. I don't know what happened there, but I'm gonna send my links. And if you guys can see, the Sacred Sacrament is the business aspect of this medicine work. So if you want to follow me there, it's Sacred Sacrament on Instagram. And we have a website as well. Give me 1 second. And bro, please give me a time check because I think I might be over.
No, you're good. You have about 10 minutes, so we can do 10 minutes for questions. You can go ahead and go into questions. Ina, I'll find all your links and put them in the chat. So I don't want you to have to worry about that because you got about 30 people who want to hear
Okay, yummy.
questions. So, Ina, if you can, while I go and get your links for you, me and the team are going to get your links. Go ahead and open up the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and you can just start from the bottom up and answer whatever question your spirit brings you to.
Okay. So where can we purchase any of these mushrooms? So because this medicine is something that is still seen as illegal, I don't sell mushrooms, but I do have Sacred Sacrament, which is my medicine website, which we'll have the link for you guys soon, which has certain infused medicines for you guys to look into. Also, look into the rules and regulations of your area and configure if this is something that you want to purchase or if this is something that you want to liberate yourself on and maybe even possibly grow for yourself. It is a taboo topic because, like I said, the legality aspect is something that we have to make sure that we're being very, very, very careful about. But if you want more information, you can always reach out to me at Sacred Sacrament about that. Ali, I used to lean on psilocybin heavily for a daily dosage, and I would take larger dosages regularly, but now I struggle with intense anxiety and panic if I take a full dose. I would like to know what you have to say about the spiritual body and mind that would cause intense anxiety and panic when plant medicine did not used to affect me that way. Ali, within that, I'm gonna exit out of this. Can you tell me in the chat, Ali, have you gone to a ceremony or is this something that you were partaking at home, like by yourself? So you were saying when you're taking the full doses, were you doing that by yourself or is this in a ceremonial type of situation? And while you're answering that, Ali, I'm gonna move forward. Can you put your camera back on? Abril, I can't put my camera back on. Sorry guys, this thing is disabled.
1 second. I changed the settings, but they won't apply until I end the meeting, unfortunately. So give me one. Making you the host. I got to make you the host and then reclaim the host spot. But we're just flowing today. Okay, you should
We
be.
are. Okay, let's try this again. Hey y'all. Okay, I'm back. So I'm gonna go to the next question. And Ali, I didn't forget your question. If you could just answer, if you do that in a ceremonial way, and we'll come back around to you. Angela Kim said, can you talk about the importance of preparing for the ceremony through a plant-based diet and celibacy? And so I'm saying plant-based diet because that's my preference for people that take the psilocybin, just because I like clean energy and I like light energy. And within that, if you're eating plant-based or if you're doing any type of like raw or fruit type of diet, your energy is a lot lighter versus more stagnant energy. Also, if you've done psilocybin before, it often can cause nausea. And I've seen that usually the nausea and the pain that occurs within utilizing psilocybin is amplified if you're eating heavy, greasy, protein dense foods, right? So the reason that I suggest for those that want to do ceremony with me to eat that type of diet, because first of all, that's the type of diet that I utilize. And second of all, it's a much lighter type of way of eating. And third of all, it can help with that nausea, it can help with that pain, and it can help you be in a lighter space, right? The celibacy aspect is because we don't want to share energy prior to tapping into ceremony. Ceremony is for you. Ceremony is for you to get the clarity that you need. So a lot of times people, when they're having sex, especially if you have a partner, if you're married, you're bringing in the energy of the other person, and a lot of your thoughts and even a lot of your mental capacity will be wrapped up around that other. So in order to be in a more clear space energetically and not have that bond immediately on your lighter space, and it helps you kind of even focus more on yourself, and it helps with the retention aspect where they have more energy and they're in a lot clearer space in state of mind.
You're freezing a little bit, Ina.
See, can you talk about how one's digestive wellness impacts their experiences when using these plants and how important dosing is in relation to individual bodies? Yes, thank you so much for that. So Lisa, so I'll talk about the dosing aspect first. So if you are a newer psilocybin or mushroom user, dosage is really important. And that's why I suggest doing microdosing first. A lot of people that do ceremonies are psychonauts or are in this medicine world will tell you to do these huge doses, and you're not doing anything if you're not doing at least 10 grams. And I'm not one of those people. I honor that everybody's body is different. Everybody's capacity for the medicine is different. Everybody's sensitivity is different. And so there are formulas when it comes to like body weight and individual sensitivity to let you know how much medicine you should take. And with that, for me, microdosing, starting with a microdose. A microdose can look like about 100 milligrams to 300 grams. And then going up from there, because you'll have a little bit of tolerance around that, right? And then you can go into a macro dose where you might want to take a gram, right? And go from there. Build your way up. And also honor your body and the serotonin levels. So when we're taking this medicine, it's peaking our serotonin levels. So it's important to replenish them and take time in between. Please do not go to 3 ceremonies a month. Please do not microdose for 5 months at a time. Please take time in between the medicine utilization, because your digestive wellness and your chemical wellness is important. You don't want to overdo the serotonin levels, because it will kind of create a situation where your body doesn't naturally produce as much serotonin anymore. So you're now having to lean on the medicine, and that's not what we want. We want your body to be in flora and fauna and flow, and we want you to have a balanced body. As far as digestive wellness, that's why I was speaking about the plant medicine aspect. We want to make sure you have a clean body. We want to make sure that you're taking care of your body. We want to make sure that you're digesting things right and that you're absorbing the proper nutrients, because when you're going into this altered state, your body needs to be well, or it's going to be very difficult for you to come back, right? And I'm not saying come back as far as like, oh, you're going to stay stuck in the spiritual aspect. I'm saying it's going to be hard for you to integrate, because a lot of times what people have to deal with when they're doing psilocybin is dehydration. Like, these mushrooms suck up everything, right? So if you're not drinking water, you're not eating fruit, if you're not eating properly, you may become dehydrated. And you may notice that the following days after a ceremony or after using the medicine that you're sluggish or you're tired. Your skin can even start to look pale and gray. Like, you really have to take care of yourself to do this medicine. Where do you get mushrooms? We kind of talked about that already.
We have time for about one more question.
One more question. Okay, I want to make sure it's a really good one. Oh, this is a good one, Ebony, and this is one I get all the time. I would like to know if Ina used psilocybin while pregnant or has an opinion on its use. I'm almost 5 months and actually had my last experience 2 weeks before I found out I was pregnant. So I want to say this because it's a safe space. I did utilize psilocybin while pregnant and while breastfeeding. And I don't suggest that you utilize any type of medicine unless you have a direct connection to that medicine already. And within that, I suggest that if you are pregnant or want to get pregnant or are breastfeeding, that you look into herbal allies as well as that medicine, unless you already have that type of relationship with the medicine. Now, as you said, the microdosing aspect is a small amount of medicine. So that's something that you want to utilize because you are pregnant and you've already done the work with the medicine. If you've gone to ceremonies and you have a relationship with it, then maybe you should look into that. But also allow your spirit to lead you and ask questions to yourself. Why do I want to use psilocybin while pregnant? What's the cultural impact or reason for me to use this medicine while pregnant? Is this something that is important to my rites of passage, or is this something that I'm using as a crutch? So you have to really be honest with yourself, do that shadow work, have those conversations with yourself, and within that, look into other allies that can have a little. Okay. So I see you guys had a lot of conversations. I don't have that much time. I hope the links are dropped or that you guys have access to the links. I want to just shout out a couple of my offerings before we get off of here. And once again, I want to give lots of gratitude to this space and the beautiful melanated faces of this space, because I've been hopping in and out, seeing all the power here. So the next offering that I have as far as a ceremony is in Portland, Jamaica. It's called Soul Revival. And some of the things that we talked about as far as the remembrance, the reconnections, tapping into your Akashic records, getting rid of ancestral trauma are what we're going to work on for our Soul Revival. So our Soul Revival is December 12th through 17th, and it's going to be 6 days, 5 nights in paradise, full of plant medicine and excursions and expression and just goodness. So if you guys are interested in that, that is on my Sacred Sacrament page for you guys to find out more information. And you can find me there and at Medimami on Instagram.
Thank you. Thank you, sis, for that. Thank you. As someone who I've tried microdosing. I'm just getting into it. I appreciate that as well. And I feel like I want to go grab your product. Let me go grab your products as we get ready for the next person, because the conference staff heard me and it's coming out. The conference staff is on. Thank you, conference staff. Look at that, honey. Yes, that is. Conference staff is on it. This is one of Ina's products, and let me tell y'all, this is her infused, honey, with sacred plant medicine. Definitely go to her website. We have been using it. We got some capsules as well too. I'm also someone who deals with anxiety. So trying it out, and I will give you an update on how much your amazing sacred infused plant medicine is. Y'all, conference staff has dropped the links. We're dropping them one more time. We are out of time right now, so thank you. Let me make sure I have the host. I am the host. Thank you, Ina, again. We're gonna go ahead and bring on our second speaker. You all make sure to tap in with Ina on her Instagram page. Sis is a vibe. the visuals, everything is a vibe. But thank you so much, Ina, for coming to this space and educating us. We'll see you next time.